become a well-used route. Time to come home at last. The return of refugees to Afghanistan marks new hope for one of the world's most damaged countries. Tens of thousands have judged that the conditions are right to return from refugee camps in neighboring countries like Pakistan and Iran. Back to the farms and homes they fled because of war, repression and drought. The refugee encashment center on the outskirts of Kabul. Returnees pass through here for assistance to resettle after their long exile. For the children, it is a journey into the unknown. Many were born in refugee camps. Older ones do not know their own country. They've been away so long. Amid the formalities, there's a sense of expectation. Crops will be planted, homes will be repaired, lives will be rebuilt. Abdul Karim and his family fled to Pakistan 5 years ago, torn from their land during the Taliban years. They finally returned to recover it. He proudly introduces his family. His son, his wife, and his 8-year-old daughter, Yasemin. Yasemin wove carpets for 5 years in Pakistan. We asked if she'd had an education there. No, she said. The reason? I could not go to school there. The family's struggle for survival meant that Yasemin's education was neglected in the past. In the new Afghanistan, girls will go to school, and so will Yasemin. Until now, it was a luxury that her family could not afford. It is her biggest hope. Abdul Karim clears the last details so that the family can travel to their old home on a fertile plain near the capital, Kabul. It's good to be back. Abdul Karim cannot read or write, and he has mixed feelings about his daughter going to school.
Yes, she will go to mosque, she will go to school. But the problem is the school's so far away. If possible, we need a school in our village. The ladies cannot go from here to the bazaar. My honor cannot accept that the women go there. People will talk 1,000 words about us.
But Yasemin has found some friends who came back earlier and are already at school. She wants to learn to read, to write, use pens and paper. The school up the road is full to capacity, but there's always room for one more. Students' enthusiasm and the will of teachers like Aziza have the power to bring about change. As you know, the villagers do not always agree with the idea that their girls should come out of the house. We are from the area and we have family relations with them. Now they're agreeing to send their girls to school. As you know, anywhere, if there's a woman teacher, then girls can come without any problem. The families thank us, and everyone is very happy. Study is great. When we grow up and we're able to read letters for people who cannot, to teach people, it'll be a gift from God. She recites a poem for her teacher. If we can produce one student in a burnt-out land like this, then it is a pride for her father and mother, and especially for us. This burnt-out land needs work and care to grow, and with time and effort, it will bear fruit and be productive like its young generation. But the scars of war are everywhere, and the memories of it still touch everyone. Nearly 30 years of conflict devastated Afghanistan. It was, for the most part, a tragedy that received nothing like the international recognition that the suffering demanded. The civil war culminated in the taking of Kabul and most of the country by the Taliban in 1996. Fundamentalist decrees forced women to stay at home. The decision to ban girls from school attracted global condemnation. By the time the coalition led by the United States ousted the regime in 2001, Afghanistan was isolated. Afghans were left with just the rubble. The state as an institution barely existed for the majority. Healthcare, schooling, even belief in a future seemed impossible to imagine. But even before the coalition started military action, UNICEF was getting humanitarian aid into even the remotest parts of Afghanistan. The donkey trains reached people who would not have survived the winter without the food, blankets, and essential medicines. But part of the emergency response from the very beginning was education. Children are starved in many ways, and emergencies come in many forms. With the defeat of the Taliban, a promise was made that by the start of the new school year, there would be places ready for 1.5 million children. The program was called Back to School, and UNICEF had 60 days, just 2 months, to obtain textbooks and find teachers for children who had been told that their new world would include the right to an education. The agency mounted a massive supply operation to provide everything from chalk to temporary schoolrooms. More than 6,000 metric tons of supplies were shipped, and 8,000 tents were built to act as classrooms. Schools, even those that had been wrecked, would be reopened to receive students. But the deadline was tight. Back to school was handled with the same urgency as a famine or an epidemic. Education provided a focus for people needing desperately to see change and improvement, who wanted evidence of a break with the years of conflict and repression. By March 23, 2002, there were schools with exercise books, with tents in the playgrounds to act as classrooms, and with teachers, many of whom, certainly as much as a third, were women. Women who had been banned from work for 7 years. As enrollment progressed, it became clear that up to 3 million children wanted to be in school. double the number expected, and a third of them were girls. UNICEF's executive director, Carol Bellamy, was there to see for herself the hunger for education and the fulfillment of that promise.
While I remember the kids running around and being excited, I particularly remember the adults, how this seemed to really create a sense of hope in the adults, particularly the mothers. That's what I remember. I also remember very much the children loving their book bags. They would take the materials out, they'd put them back in, they'd take them out and look at them again, they'd put them back in. It was a sense that they hadn't had anything for so long, and here now was an opportunity. There is a saying that you educate a boy, you educate a man. You educate a girl, you educate the family. Educating girls has a multiplier effect. Not only do you have an individual who receives a basic education, but her family, her child, her near community all benefit from that education. So what you get for a small investment is returned many times over.
It was a view of education as an investment rather than relief that spurred the Afghan government to back the initiative. It was a one major program that everyone in the country agreed on. The Ferdowsi High School in Kabul is the largest school for girls in Afghanistan. Today, it is one of the best equipped, but there are stresses. It is full to bursting, and the demand for classes is growing. It has more than 10,000 pupils, educated in 3 shifts per day, by a total of 272 teachers. During the Taliban years, this institution turned into a religious school. Girls were not accepted. In fact, girls were not allowed to attend school. Sodika explains. It was difficult under the Taliban regime. We were not allowed to leave home, and we weren't allowed to study. So, the headmistress, Hajara Majizora, began an underground school in the neighborhood. When the school was closed, we made the course at home, in a block of the neighborhood called Makroyan. We called it Ferdowsi. At first, we only had a few students, but slowly it increased, and the school continued for 7 months. We were learning English subjects, but that was undercover. But if they caught us, they would close the school. Teachers who continued teaching at secret schools risked severe beating and imprisonment. Among the girl students of Afghanistan, such women teachers are regarded as heroes for the way they refused to accept the Taliban's restrictions and risked everything for the future of their students. Most of the teachers from the old school were working with us. But under pressure, we just couldn't continue. The Taliban finally shut them down. When the Taliban closed the school, Vida Sagara locked herself in her room for 3 days. She is 19 years old now, but still remembers how the Taliban robbed her of her youth. I'm old. I was always old, and I'm waiting to become old. I feel from childhood to now very aged.
It's very difficult to explain it by English. I have to speak by that. It's very difficult. Yeah.
The situation was so dangerous, like a dangerous dream. When I think about it, I'm surprised how I accepted the situation.
Yeah, I was 14 or 15 years old.
And at 14, 15 you were working?
Yeah, I was working.
And what were you doing?
It was very difficult situation.
I'm sorry.
It's difficult to say. It's difficult to explain it. این شرایط نمی‌آمد شاید قدر علاقه‌مند به تحصیلم نمی‌شدم. بسیاری کسا هستن میگن که تحصیل من به خاطر تحصیل میکنم، بعضی به خاطر نام، بعضی به خاطر نشان، بعضی به خاطر آیت.
Many people study for name, recognition and income. But me, I want to learn because I don't want to be powerless. I couldn't live under this tyranny. It was very tough.
یعنی اگر سابق اما تو زندگی ما پیش از یک طالبا بیایی اما تو نرمال جریان می داشت من
If the Taliban did not come, maybe I would be like a normal student.
خوانده بودم اما تو پیش می رفتم شاید کوچکترین مشکل که دمرای من می آمد
Maybe I would not have been able to deal with simple problems. But now I'm stronger. The Taliban made me stronger. These 5 years of the Taliban made all ladies strong. Now I feel that I can survive any problem.
میتونم برایم
Vida's family lives in Makroyan. Built for civil servants during the Soviet period, it has an abandoned look about it, but its residents are optimistic and proud. Women must still adhere to tradition, but that does not affect their spirit.
But our custom is it's 100 or maybe 500 years that it's our custom that the girls can't do anything. It's any place to get out or play for the girls. It is some place for boys, but for girls it's any place for play.
Nowhere to go.
Even when we want to go to course or school or go to the bazaar or go to some relative house, we have to be like this, okay? Wear something and take it like this.
Oh dear.
Okay? Long dresses.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. This is full of boxes. I have to put them in the bag. Yeah. It's my another perfect book that I love it. I love it so much. Yeah. These are my friends. The books are always my friends. These writings are all beautiful. It make the person very emotional. I always want to be with books. I like this. I have my freedom right now. It's a very big change.
In a very short time.
It wasn't a short time. 5 years. It's a very long time.
This sense of lost years urges Vida to try to catch up. She shares this passion with friends who are making up for the education they missed by taking extra lessons in the afternoon at private classes.
I'm full-time studying to getting ready for the final exam. I have just 3 girlfriends, but they're my classmates. Just I can meet them at course and at school.
School has become the meeting place for more than just students. Teacher training sessions like this one in Kandahar bring in staff from even the most remote region. They may have different dialects, but they share common problems and learn a common curriculum. There is need for new ideas for this generation of teachers and for the next generation of students.
It is about nation building. It's one of the unifying forces in Afghanistan. That's a common ground on which everyone agrees. It's about employment for women. It's one of the largest employment programs that was undertaken just after the Taliban left. It employed about 75,000 teachers.
These women are also hungry for new ideas. They have felt isolated for so long, and it gives a sense of being part of a central system rooted in the capital. Education Minister Mohammed Kanuni wants to focus on quality, not quantity. As he surveys his department's supply warehouse, he is aware that there are very high stakes involved.
There is only one way to choose: education. If terrorism, underdevelopment and illiteracy are to be fought, the only way to fight them is through education.
It means reaching out to the most distant, most poor, and the most vulnerable people in the country. This is Maslak refugee camp near the western city of Herat. It provides some stability for rural people displaced from their homes by fighting and drought. There are no trained teachers here. Baz Mohammed is the headmaster. A former army officer, he was the only person in his community who could read or write.
Everyone can come to this school. Pashtun, Tajik, Uzbeks, Hazaras. There's no asking nationalities. Anyone can come here without problem.
Learning to get along with each other starts at school. There is a widespread belief that Afghanistan would not have suffered the years of conflict and repression if all the population, including women, had been better educated. That so many children from this background are in school, and so many of them are girls, is a significant social change. One of the biggest supporters of this campaign was Japan.
This is giving a very good signal to the international community that, Afghanistan people are very much sincere and strongly hoping for educating their children, that is, future generation. And they are very much ready to sacrifice themselves for allocating more investment on their education.
60% of the schools in Afghanistan were either damaged or destroyed. They're being rebuilt and expanded to embrace the communities that surround them. One of the plans is to install clean, safe water in every primary school. Water and proper sanitation are important as they encourage girls to enroll and continue with their education. The strategic placement of such facilities ensures that the school becomes the center of the community.
I am Nais Mohammed, a bricklayer. I have 2 children going to this school. That's why I'm working here.
In many cases, it is the only sign of central government provision for miles around. Since the start of Back to School in 2002, it is believed that girls' enrollment has increased by 30%. UNICEF is working with the government and religious leaders to achieve gender balance in the classroom.
There is no such thing in Islam as a different education for boys and girls. Knowledge should be accessible to both boys and for girls, men and women. Within the laws of Islam, both boys and girls should be fully educated to function within the society.
و در تنویر جامعه هر یکی به نوبه خود نقش اساسی و کلیدی خود.
Education is seen as a way to heal the society, to unify and rebuild the nation.
أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله.
But for someone like Vida, who continued studying long into the night, the reopening of schools was like a release from prison.
I'm always like this because the most of time we don't have electricity. And I have to study under the light of candle. I wish I could be in a clear and shiny place, and I have a perfect place, especially during the night for my studying. It's normal for a girl to being with study always. Because I don't have another activity to do in Afghanistan. The girls don't have another activity. Interesting things we can discover reading during the study. It's my private wish or my private thing or my private hope that I want to be a good writer in the future. I want to write about the peoples. Just the women can write about these stories because they have amazing stories and secretive stories they have. They were a hero by themselves in this film during the 6 years. Yeah. They was the hero for themselves.